What's up, everybody? Welcome to Week 8 Showdown live show. Minnesota Vikings at the Los Angeles Rams. What's up, fellas? Kevin O'Connell Bowl here. I do want to say.
Let's go.
So what's how's it hanging? How's fantasy life? How did we do this week?
Poorly.
I think it was kind of across the board.
Yeah.
At least for me, it was not the greatest. Sunday was supposed to be the birthday winning Millie winning weekend, but it didn't show up the way that I wanted it to. So what about you?
I was able to get the fantasy W in the season long. It's been a learning season, I would say, I guess the best way to put it, in a sort of a 14-man league. But last week the team did find a little bit of a stride. I was a little frustrated with myself from a small standpoint, is that I've been sitting Lab McConkey the last 2 weeks. And I'm not saying he's got a lot more production, but the people I put in have gotten no production. So I just feel like maybe the signs are telling me something here. I need to go ahead and run him out and start him this week. So we'll see what happens. But I'm happy to get a W, get back on board. I'm about 2 games out. So I'm going to have to take all the notes I can in these sessions here so I can get back on track.
Well, it's, you know me, I was ran 5-0 straight sprint, and then 2 massive injuries back-to-back weeks. Marvin Harrison.
Those things, I mean, that could happen to anybody.
Jaden Daniels is getting hurt, so that.
And didn't you run him in the in your like fan or the daily as well?
Yeah, he was my cash. He was my cash quarterback. And I must have run, I think I ran like 25 cash line, something like that with Jaden Daniels, and it just eliminated me from any money whatsoever, which is weird. Is I usually kind of do better in obviously cash, because you know you're going to cash out, right? But GPP, I did actually way better this week in cash or in GPP, but in cash, I lost my ass in cash. Like usually you make all your money and try to cover yourself, but I didn't cover anything and actually deficited myself with the cash lineups.
Same. But I didn't play Jaden Daniels and I still didn't cash. So whole lineup was cold.
And then I also want to pull myself to the congregation. I put the KA label on JSN. I told the people it was time, and I didn't read the tea leaves correctly. I do apologize to the people for that. We're going to get back into the lab and get you guys right come this Saturday. I'm going to get us right again. But unfortunately, those targets didn't go to JSN. They ended up going to Lockett and Metcalf for a little bit before he got hurt. But I still believe in him, man. The targets are there. I just didn't call it the right week, I think.
I don't think it was his fault. I even remember the commentator saying they got to get this guy involved. He's wide open on a couple plays, and he's just not looking there. So I don't think it was his fault. Got to blame Gino on that one.
Gino, I don't know, man. Gino is Gino's okay. You know, like he's just okay. Like I don't think that he's the greatest. I don't think he's just okay. He's serviceable. He'll get you through. But I was in a space last night where some guys were talking about betting favorites. Like if you want to kind of ride a underdog favorite into the Super Bowl in the NFC, and it was Seattle. And I was like, I don't give a shit how low ball that you can get those guys. There's no way that I'm ever putting money on Seattle because they have Geno Smith. Geno Smith was highly touted coming out of college, as you know, coming out of West Virginia, and then he goes to the Jets.
Second round. He was supposed to go like top 5.
Yeah,
it was one of the craziest drops I've seen.
And then skates around the league for a while, like the Giants, and then ends up with the Seahawks and is kind of pseudo reviving his career. But people comparing him to the Baker Mayfield type trajectory, absolutely not. Like that's just I can't even compare the two. So, but I would never put my money on Seahawks with Geno Smith. And then just reading through kind of things now. Like, are they already kind of preparing themselves to maybe give Sam Howell a run at it or look towards the future? Because I don't think that Smith is he's not a franchise quarterback at this point. Obviously, I didn't see that 2 years ago or whatever when they paid him for a couple of years, so. But, I mean, with that being
I feel he's more of just a 500 style quarterback. He's gonna win some, he's gonna lose some. It's gonna usually probably get you around again, probably that 500 level each season. But again, if you're looking for a Super Bowl, you'll need a few things to go right. Maybe he just catches that stretch and you get a good few games and you win a title that way. But I understand you're saying how it would be tough to bet on something like that to happen. Especially when you have some receiver. I think Metcalf again got hurt. I'm not sure if he was. So I mean,
he's
losing that type of a weapon.
He's week to week right now. So that JSN, it might be time to strap the rocket to JSN's back and take him to the top. But that's what killed me is like, when he went out, I was like, Brad, like Nostradamus over here knew something was about to go weird with DK, and then Gino was just like, he wasn't even there. Like it went to damn Noah Fant and Tyler Lockett, and that other tight end I was telling you guys about, AJ Barner or whatever, that dude that I said looks the part, but he's only there sometimes. So, but yeah, kind of just piggybacking off that, we could just jump right into the news. Okay.
Yep.
So you see all these guys on here, and obviously the two sore thumbs on the front there, the Bash brothers, Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. Chris Godwin out with a dislocated ankle. I don't know if you guys watched the video.
That bitch looked flat, dude.
My guy looked like it was
flat.
I'm glad it's not broken. I'm glad it wasn't broken. It's just dislocated, but he's done. I think he's done for the season. Like, I mean, it looked like it was hanging, like his sock was just keeping his foot attached to his lower leg.
Yeah,
and then
unattached.
And then that I don't know.
I didn't want to do it to myself. I didn't want to put myself there.
Like one cleat was stiff into the ground, like when you're laying on your stomach.
Literally there was
one. The other one is just flat there off to the side.
Yeah, like it was bad. And there was an angle of like another defender standing, like the defender that tackled him was standing there, and it looked like at first it looked like the defender's foot was his, because like the defender was standing there and his foot was like this. And I thought that was his foot. And then I see him laying off to the side, and his foot's kind of like, you got one foot over and one foot laying like this, and it's just popped out of the joint, right? And then, I mean, right before that was he's in there for the last 10 seconds of the game, right? You're down 10 points with a minute and something left, and you're trying to make a comeback. I understand that, but it's kind of like a boner on Todd Bowles' part. I'm like, really? Why can't you just pack it in you and just let's get to next week, like as the Bill Belichick saying on the Cincinnati type shit, and then because you already lost Mike Evans to this sniper that's sniping out people's hamstrings right now, in the stands, the same guy that got Nico Collins 2 weeks ago got Mike Evans this week. So I don't know what it is, but that dude, I saw when he was running and he pulled up and he was laying there. I was like, yep, well, Mike Evans is done for a while. This might be the first season within 10 that he doesn't get 1,000 yards, but we'll see. He's already like 330 something, but he has like over 100 touchdowns now in his career. So, I mean, safe to say he's probably the Buccaneers GOAT. So,
yeah.
Other wide receivers that were injured this week. Brandon Ayuk out with a torn ACL, done for the season. Debo had pneumonia. They run him out on the field for warm-ups. He ends up in the hospital for pneumonia. I saw a lot of memes out there, people saying that Debo was just fat. That's the reason why he didn't play. He's just fat. He did kind of look a little hefty, but I don't know if it was maybe because they were feeding him fluids or whatever before the game because he was sick. But he ended up in the hospital. So there's your pick up Juwan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall. Jamison Williams for the Detroit Lions is suspended for PDs.
Man, popping them needles.
Because I mean, they're like, I wonder why this dude is just blowing people down the line, and it's obviously he was taking something he wasn't supposed to be taking. And then the big news out of Kansas City today, DeAndre Hopkins getting traded to the Chiefs for a 5th round pick. So Patrick Mahomes might have found his vet.
I found my vet. I know that. I've been playing him on the fucking Titans. So you
called him last week. He's like, he's going to pop off eventually.
Yeah, here it is.
You spoke that shit into existence. What's up, Scorpio?
He's about to fucking eat on the Chiefs. I tell you, that ain't got nobody to throw the fucking ball to. He's gonna eat.
Yes, I mean, I think
I'm actually happy for him.
Like, I think
give it a game or two, but I also think it's gonna help Kelsey eat. You know, Kelsey's been kind of stagnant, but that's because it's easy to cover him when you ain't got to cover anybody else on the field.
Yeah.
Now they're gonna have to worry about D-Hop out there.
I'm happy for him as a former Texans player. He wasn't gonna win one here at the time. I always would have loved to see him come back to Houston and hopefully he eventually does and retires a Texan. But if going to Kansas City and getting him a championship is what he can do, which I wish that would have happened with maybe like JJ Watt and Andre Johnson as well. If going somewhere that you can get a championship, dude, all power to you. I felt like you deserve it after the 2 shitty teams you've played for since you left Houston. So good for him. And then Bryce Young is starting on Sunday because Andy Dalton had a car crash. So Bryce Young is going to play against Denver. Another Texans, we signed Devin White, the linebacker, that was from the Buccaneers via through the Eagles. He was cut by the Eagles. We signed him today. He looks overweight and out of shape. We need some linebacker help.
I'm playing Denver's defense, I'll tell you that.
Yes, against Bryce Young, obviously. You got to.
Yeah.
Alvin Kamara signs a new deal with the Saints, so he's not going anywhere. He's probably going to retire a Saint now.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
So he's probably going to sign it.
I like him as a player, man. In the offseason, he's pulling fucking trucks down his neighborhood street. Just he eat, sleep football, man. He's not out here dicking off because he's a star.
He's punching people in clubs in Las Vegas.
Hey, you want to start some shit with an athlete? You got to be prepared. I'll tell you, that's
beating the brakes off people. Beating the brakes off people in Vegas nightclubs. But I mean, we've been
with athletes, man, and you're a big guy, and they make you look small when they stand next to you. You're looking for your ass kicked, or you're looking for attention when you try to square up with athletes, man. They literally look like freaks of nature.
We have also been. I want to also say that we have been in nightclubs in Vegas too, and people just do shit to do shit in Vegas at clubs. So yes, they do that. Jaden Daniels might not start this week because the rib injury.
I don't know what it was, but he came out, looked normal as fuck, but just out of pads.
Yeah, it was. I don't know.
It reminded me of when Lamar Jackson went to the locker room to take a shit mid-game, and I was like, and he came back out.
They haven't really said it's a rib thing, so I don't know if maybe he just got hit. He got hit weird, and it kind of like jarred. You know how like you're walking through your house and you accidentally bump into the counter like right there on your ribs, or you're playing with your kid and they elbow you or accidentally headbutt you in the ribs or stuff, and it just feels out of place. And then when you're breathing or trying to move, your body just doesn't feel right. So obviously he's a tall, lanky kind of guy, and his throwing motion, it probably hurts. He's a running quarterback, it probably hurts. So his mom said he was good. Mom said after he's great. He's good.
HTTR, he's good.
So and Dan Quinn says he's going to practice tomorrow and Friday, and he's going to evaluate him, but keep that in the back of your mind. So me personally, I'm sitting here deciding if I even want to worry about it or if I'm just going to run out Sam Darnold tomorrow and hope for the best. So and then
I think you should run out Sam Darnold regardless. That's a good matchup.
And then you got the other quarterback Tua has been cleared. He's probably going to play this week. Not wearing the Guardian cap. They asked him.
That thing looks fucking awful. I get it. If you ever played like GoldenEye on the 1064 back in the day, you could turn on DK mode, the big ass head
mode. That's NFL Blitz. Remember NFL
That's
Blitz
literally
back in the day
what
with
it
big head
looks
mode?
like. I'm looking at these dudes with these helmets like, what the fuck is that? I almost feel like it's unfair to get hit by somebody wearing that. It's like a fucking wrecking ball coming at you.
I was watching the game on Monday night, watching Ed Reed talk about it. There was Luke Gedke, for the Buccaneers, was wearing one, and he's an offensive lineman. And Ed Reed was like asking Peyton Manning about it, and he's like, "What do you think about that?" And Peyton's like, he just given like a corporate answer, basically, like, "Oh, it's supposed to protect people and this and this and this, right?" And then like I watched the Pat McAfee show, and they kind of like run it down a little bit, like, "Oh, well, really, is it really doing much more than the carbon fiber helmets that they're wearing? Like the basically putting pillows on your head." And then they're like, Pat McAfee made a good thing. Like, take it. Tua said he's not wearing it, and he's making it be for a personal choice. The neurologists, all these neurologists and stuff have cleared him, so he's coming back. But why the fuck would I go out and wear this big ass thing on my head that gives a target to my head? It already going to everybody already knows that if they touch me, I might fall to the ground and I'm going to fall out. That would be more
reason to wear it, I think, because it's bigger. And now if somebody just touches your fucking helmet, they're going to flag for helmet-to-helmet contact. It's taking up all this fucking space. Easier to get penalized when you go to tackle a quarterback that you wouldn't have hit it if he was wearing a smaller helmet.
Yeah, I get it 100%. But he's saying I'm not wearing it. I'm going for it. I mean, like he's literally showed all the research and all this reports that coming back saying that he showed no concussion symptoms the day after he had this most recent concussion. There goes to Phil's point of that concussions are not real injuries.
They're not, dude. Well, I mean, they're real injuries, but they're not. They don't affect the player's ability to play next game. In other words, in my mind, like a hamstring does. If I fuck my hamstring up in this game, it takes so long to feel normal that next game I'm not going to be running the way I was running without the injury. Whereas with a concussion, dog, I'm out there. I'm running everything the same.
What's crazy to me is like how, like, and Brad, I want your thoughts on this, is like chime in on how how concussion protocol, they have to go through that certain amount of steps, right? But some guys can clear concussion protocol in a day, and some guys it's like takes 2 or 3 weeks for them to clear concussion protocol. Like Malik Neighbors, it took him like 2 weeks to clear it. So I'm like, how is the guy who has the most prime, I guess we'd say the most prime time concussions, literally doing this, and then you got guys that just barely get tapped and it's just like, oh, he can't be cleared for 2 weeks. It's just it's crazy. I don't understand the whole thing.
Well, I think it's just ultimately it's levels to every concussion, and I think that's what we all gotta kind of take into consideration. So while they'll just like is a sprain, ankle, or it's the same thing along those lines. There's levels and there's grades to it. I would even consider it on the sense of if a boxer gets knocked out on a Friday night, I think probably by Saturday night he would be okay to box again. But that doesn't take out the fact that you were just slumped the night before. You know what I mean? And so outside of whatever some medical tests are showing, or as far as for, I know in college we had to take a test, and it was just your basic tests, about, numbers and words or whatever. And then in order to get out of concussion protocol, you had to take that test again and basically score higher than what you scored previously. And so I don't know if there's sort of test that is on an NFL level that they have to basically accomplish, where in certain instances they're just not able to complete the test or whatever, and that's what's taking them longer to come back in comparison to other guys who could just boom, jump back in, and the neurological part of it is, I guess, fine. But that's just from my kind of basis on that. It's just tricky. I mean, I just think, again, I mean, the quarterbacks of the day are different than the quarterbacks that we grew up with, right? I mean, a lot of them were 6'6", 250 pounds. I grew up, we grew up with Peyton Manning, Ben Roethlisberger. These are big guys, huge human beings. That's completely different. So they could kind of take hits for 10 years straight and be okay. And not okay, but you know what I mean? But whereas I feel like with the Tua, his frame, his body, you're getting hit by grown men at 6'6", 260
He's also
pounds coming
mobile.
at you at 4'2". He's
Takes
running,
more hits.
and that's going to lead to exactly. And I just worry for him just for the fact that if an arm's taking him out, but it could be just trials and tribulations, and then he goes on and never has a concussion again. That's the crazy part about it.
Yeah,
and back in our day, it was only Vic that was running, taking hits, and he was big. He was bigger than Tua, so I agree with you. I think it's the amount of hits that he takes. Like I said, there's like a football movie, man. I can't think of it, but the dude takes too many concussions. He dies on the field. Like, one of these hits is going to kill this guy. He literally looked like he died. Was it last year or the year before on that second concussion? It looked like he died on the field. Like, at some point,
we've literally seen a guy die. We've literally seen a guy die on the field, and he is a starter. He is a starter right now, and it's kind of like I was kind of go back to that what I was talking about Ed Reed. Ed Reed was making a statement about, okay, so kind of like piggybacking off what you said, Brad, about boxers. Boxers, when they get concussions, they all get knocked out at the chin, right? Like they're getting hit in the chin and get knocked out. 90% of them don't get hit up here or in the side of the head. It's more like chin contact and nerves and all that kind of stuff. And that's what they get knocked out, right? So Tua's not getting hit. Most of the time, I don't think it's him getting hit in the head, like up here. So that guardian cat probably won't help much if he's getting his ass smoked up under the chin. And that's what's putting his ass to sleep, right? So
I don't think the ground too. It's the way his head smacked the ground.
Football, as long as I've gotten the opportunity to play it, I would say that I don't think any helmet's really I don't think you can add 4 layers of pillows on top of your head. I just don't think that that's gonna make ultimately any difference when the person that's hitting you is 6'6", 275 pounds and runs a 4.2 40 or whatever, a 4.6 40. It's just physics at this point. Motion. You can't stop that, and so even if he doesn't necessarily again get hit in the head, but he gets hit in the chest, but the force from the hit to the chest whips your head back like you in a car crash. It's the same exact thing. And so again, I just don't think for him, I guess falling down, kind of slide more, but I think he's just going to be him. A quarterback
can't tell him to do anything different, right? Like,
I don't know you can't strip someone that's got that far, them being them, because they've gotten that far doing that, made millions of dollars off of being them. So he's gonna have to play his game.
From the leather helmets, that's for sure.
Yeah, one more thing before we get into actual talking fantasy. Robert Saleh was only out of work for 2 weeks, by the way. He's already back in work. He's working for the Packers with his buddy Matt LaFleur. So he was only out of work for 2 weeks. So we there you go. Maybe it really wasn't Robert Saleh was not the problem. Let's just say that the Jets might have sucked because it's just the Jets. So let's talk a little fantasy. A little bit of kind of alluding to what we were just talking about. A little bit of Millie action here. I think this is another really ugly Millie, but we talked about, I would say, almost 95% of these players.
I called Amon-Ra. I know that the slot play he was going to eat.
Yep. You talked about that for a while.
The only person I don't see how you get to is Elijah Moore. Hardman was mentioned.
You don't get to Elijah Moore with Njoku.
No, absolutely not.
Optimizer was giving me tons of Elijah Moore because of no Amari Cooper and he was cheap. He's cheap. He was cheap as shit, like 3,200. I was getting a lot of him.
I played Hardman, so I know Hardman was able to get to. But I mean, that's smart that you said no Amari Cooper. I know that, but I didn't even think about that because QB sucks.
Yeah, and
But
it was because of the QB going out. Literally, another sniper got his ass.
And then he comes in and eats. But you're right. You don't play two Cleveland players in the same lineup if you're not playing their quarterback. Yeah. Like, it just doesn't happen. And here you see it happening. It's just
and against the defense. Look at the defense that was in this.
And the Bengals D. This is one of those, like I called it last week. I don't want to say there's some sketchy shit going on, but there's some sketchy shit going on.
I did a little deep diving. I did a little deep diving and a little bit of scouring the internet. This guy that won, he had 18 lineups in the millie. Okay.
So a significant amount of money. Was that like a stack?
No, it was only $180 because it was a $10 millie this week. This week was only $10. So my person,
I didn't even see that.
I put three in this week. So,
usually it was 20.
No, it was a $10. It was a 10. I was like, oh, DraftKings giving me a birthday present, like a $10 millie. So let me just put fucking 3 in. And so, but yeah, this guy had 18 lineups in the millie maker. So he return on investment was $999,895. So there you go.
Sheesh.
So I
would never handcraft that lineup. Let's be
never. Real. I mean, I don't think I even get to Sam Darnold.
I played Sam Darnold as my quarterback in the $100 single entry. So I absolutely went to Sam Darnold. I did not go to Jefferson though. As much as I wanted to, I couldn't afford him.
He was in my cash.
Looking at Amon-Ra and Jefferson in the same lineup just like astonishes me because you have to punt 2 spots. And he did. Elijah Moore and Hardman. I hate doing that because in my mind, those are big fat zeros 90% of the time. So I'd rather have a more balanced lineup. And I had Amon-Ra. I paired Addison with Sam Darnold instead, who did not cut it. I had Hunt in like a 60 max or in a 20 max, but I didn't have him in my single injury. So, but I mean, some of these players I got to, but I just don't understand the 2 Cleveland players. That's especially against the defense that they're playing against. It's crazy.
Yeah. And the second place guy ran a Jared Goff. So it was a Jared Goff. So Jared Goff, Jahmyr Gibbs, Aaron Jones, Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra, Elijah Moore, Jonnu Smith, David Njoku, and the Browns defense.
Damn, so he had 2 Browns people too.
Yeah, and that guy had 50. That guy had 50 lineups in the millie.
Damn. So I don't know what these numbers mean next to their name. Then I guess we'll never figure that out.
Yeah. So
I thought the 8 meant 8 lineups.
I thought that as well. But according to everything that I'm finding, that I still haven't figured out what that number means. I have no idea. Maybe as high as they've ever been in the millie. I don't know.
Or maybe it's consistency. Is this like his 8th straight week playing the millie?
Because obviously I don't have one out next to it, so maybe.
Yeah, I mean the Jonnu Smith shit shocked me too. He absolutely popped off. I definitely didn't go there. So when I saw him popping off, I was like, "Well, can't win the millie." Don't got him. I thought for sure he'd be in the millie lineup today, not Njoku. He was cheaper than Njoku, right? I think he had the same amount of points, if not more.
Njoku was 41 and Jonnu was 34.
Yeah, so it's cheaper. How much points did Jonnu get?
22.6 and Njoku had 23.6.
Yeah,
so it's a point difference.
Damn.
Yeah. So and roughly, let's see. Yeah. So and that Kareem Hunt plays a little much for me. I thought San Francisco was going to do better than what they did, which is crazy. This lineup is full of this millie lineup's full of stacks though, right? But it was a double bring back, and then you have 2 Kansas City players and 1 Minnesota player, It's weird to me. Like
it's weird, as I'm saying. It looks like sketchiness all throughout it. But I mean, in the afternoon lineups, I played Hunt. I even had him in a couple of my normal ones just because of low ownership, and he was getting the whole backfield. So I mean, that's an understandable play. Again, it's not necessarily that each of these players on their individual terms is hard to get to. It's that when you combine this lineup, it makes it impossible to get to. Like Elijah Moore, like you said, Amari Cooper not being there, not impossible to get to. David Njoku, same reason, not impossible to get to. But it makes it impossible to get to when you put both of them in the same lineup against the defense that they're playing against, and you don't have the Cleveland quarterback here. Like, I am shocked. So
yeah, that's what kills me. Like that I don't understand that one bit. I mean, I've seen. I mean, the Elijah Moore play and the David Njoku play is pretty consistent throughout the top 5, top 6.
I mean, Njoku had 18% ownership, so he's almost fucking chalk. Probably was chalk.
A guy that I did call out.
I didn't see. I wouldn't have told you Elijah Moore and Njoku just because, as Phil said, the quarterback situation was so bad. I didn't predict even him going out or any. I just wouldn't have thought, hey, and those might, just like you said, those were the difference between winning and losing. Were 2 players on the team with a quarterback that's shaky, but because of the ownership and just only a handful of people did that, those handful of people won.
I mean, what don't make sense is Amari Cooper is better than both of them on his worst day, and people weren't playing him weeks before for the same reason. The quarterback sucks. So now that he's gone, why is it any different that we're going to start playing Browns players? Like,
just because
we're not, dude. We're not playing Browns players.
But this was a weird. It was weird. It was a weird game. I think that crazy. Like kind of, how the mentality we usually have about primetime. Like I feel like Cleveland was like gonna put in the gas pedal to the metal for trying to get out from under some of these guys, and like, okay, we're gonna try to get out from under Elijah Moore, because after that point, rumors were already circulating that Elijah Moore might end up on the Chiefs. But another guy I did call, he's not in the Millie lineup or the second place lineup, but he's in all the other 3 in the top 5. Jatavion Sanders, the tight end for the Panthers.
I played him.
12. Again. He was 5.3% owned, and he had 12 points, and he was only 2,900. So keep that in mind going
another
forward.
thing that is freaky is that Cleveland scored a total of 14 points and had 2 players in the Millie. It don't make any sense. I tell you right now, they were not in the Millie and FanDuel, and I don't even need to see the Millie winning lineup in FanDuel to know that they weren't, because that's not enough scoring.
Yeah.
This is a product of PPR right here. Literally catching the ball and doing nothing with it over and over and over again, to the point where 2 players ended up in the Millie with shit stats. 41 yards on 6 receptions, bro. That's not stats that we're looking for in the Millie Maker. It's just not. Nope. I mean, he didn't even have 4x value, but the point is that he was a low owned and he was $3,000, dude.
You could have kept Mecole Hardman here. I could have beat this lineup with Jatavion Sanders. You could have kept Mecole Hardman, moved him into the wide receiver position, and picked up Jatavion Sanders at 2,900, saved money, and still beat this guy.
Yep.
By the way, and had it would have been a two tight end lineup, but your get different play would have been somebody that made some damn sense. Obviously Hardman in a game that we called, and Jatavion Sanders in a game that we called.
And that would have actually been more appealing to me, because like I said earlier, usually when you put somebody like Jefferson and Amon-Ra in, you have to fucking punt 2 spots. Usually you don't want to punt 2 wide receivers, so you grab tight ends because they're just naturally cheaper and they can pop off. Would have been a perfect example for a double tight end. Would have made a lot more sense, and like Cody said, would have beat this lineup.
Yeah,
absolutely could have did that.
It would have beat them by 2 points. It would have been about 187.
Anytime I start doing, like when I start handcrafting lineup and I start just fucking stacking people I like, I find myself getting down to where like, okay, I need a $2,600 player. And there isn't no wide receivers for 2,600. You have to look tight end. So now you're like, all right, I got to have a shitty tight end and a bad tight end on the same lineup and hope that they both do good. And here it is.
Yep. Yeah, so it was a rough, it was like I say, a rough weekend in fantasy to say the least.
I will also note that this lineup only had 185 points.
Yeah, it was a week. It was a week low. It was a week low.
Those 1 o'clock games, there was like no fucking scoring at all going on. And then when scores happened, they were like to random ass people. I was like, ain't nobody on that person. So.
The Seattle game, Seattle and Atlanta game was what screwed me the most because I put a lot of stock in that game myself.
Well, Seattle was my cash quarterback, and
like Gino was actually in one of my Millie lineups. But I paired him with JSN instead of DK.
Same.
I
think I had a lineup with DK in it, but not my cash. I had JSN in cash, I think.
Actually, think about it. I had Kareem Hunt in 2 out of the 3 Millie lineups that I had, but I mean, there was just, and actually did have a Amon-Ra and Justin Jefferson lineup paired with Sam Darnold. So it was my best. Actually, it wasn't my best one. It was my second best. Was Darnold, Hunt, Trey Sermon, DJ Turner for Vegas, who I thought was going to just get all the fucking targets, but Vegas just sucks. Vegas is so fucking bad.
I played Goodson over Sermon, dude, and it was gold.
Jetta,
he's gonna take that spot.
Schultz. I went Noah Brown. I kind of punted twice. I went Noah Brown thinking that.
Dude, I went Noah Brown everywhere and did. I don't know. Last I looked at zeros. I don't fucking know.
He had 2.6 points. He had 16 yards on one reception.
On me, man.
And that was, I think it was a byproduct of Jaden Daniels going out and them just blowing the fucking doors off of Carolina with the run game. And
I think Brad called that though. Brad said Carolina wasn't going to do anything against.
He said to play the defense. He did.
And defense shut them the fuck down.
I think
it was gross.
Put them to sleep.
It was gross. I had a teaser that I bet where I had Carolina plus 20 because I was like, dude, the Redskins don't beat anybody by more than 20. Like, whether this is right or wrong, this is good. And I remember just being like 34-0 or something like that. And I was like, dog, this is a loss. I'm gonna go ahead and start looking at other bets to place because this is a loss. And sure enough, it was.
Yeah,
that was painful.
My Texans just shit on me, so I don't even want to talk about them. So CJ Stroud, 86 fucking yards, dude. Like, what the hell is that?
At one point, I thought y'all had it, man. I know on the podcast I called Green Bay, but I was like, damn, Houston's got this.
Defense went to sleep,
I think y'all ran something back, like an interception or a fumble or something. And I was like, Houston's got this.
3 interceptions against them.
Y'all motherfuckers could not close out.
No, not at all. Not at all. So we can just let's move on straight on to what we kind of came here to talk about.
The main event.
Tomorrow's Minnesota Vikings at the fire sale, maybe having after this game, Los Angeles Rams. Literally, there was a rumor floated this week that Matthew Stafford might get traded for Sam Darnold.
Yeah, I don't know why they would do that. They're like fucking 5-1, and Sam Darnold has looked sharp. I saw that too, and I was like, what the fuck are they doing? That's a way to fuck up your team's whole juju and just start losing now. Even for thinking about it, even for announcing you might do that, you've just cursed the whole fucking thing. I wouldn't be surprised if the Rams win this game off of that bullshit. You just fucked you have bad karma now. It's literally what that is.
I feel like the Rams, this is going to be, like you say all the time, this is going to be that game where they're advertising Cooper Kupp going to come out, and the Chiefs didn't scoop him up. Somebody's going to. I mean, I think that they're going to get rid of him. Puka Nacua opened his 21-day practice window this week, so he'll be back. I just feel like the Rams are just kind of like, okay, this era.
I'm telling you, Rams about to win this game. Rams are about to win this game because Minnesota got fucking bad juju and Kupp's coming back. That's what it is right there. And Kupp is only 8% owned, I must say, in the captain spot.
Wow.
Yeah, that is probably 100% where I'm going, especially if Puka don't play. Right now, he's not.
No, he ain't gonna. He ain't gonna play. I don't believe that he's gonna play at all. I'll give you some. injury updates. Blake Cashman, linebacker for Vikings, is still out with a toe injury. Caleb Evans, cornerback, questionable. He was limited in practice. Hawk could be back. Questionable with a knee. It's his knee, but he was limited in practice. So keep that in mind. Pay attention to that. Don't really know if he's going to play or not. It hasn't been confirmed yes or no. And then Dalton Reisner, the guard for the Vikings, is questionable with a back injury, but it was a full participant. And then for Rams, Braden Fisk, defensive end, questionable with a back. Neville Gallimore, defensive tackle, questionable with the shoulder. Puka still questionable. Like I said, they did open his 21-day practice window. I ain't too sure. I don't think he's going to play. I don't think you rush him back to this game. Let Cooper Kupp pull the load and see if it works. You're what? They're 1-5. They literally just got their first win this last weekend, maybe, or 2 weekends ago.
Kupp could do it too. He could do it against the guy he's facing.
Joe Noteboom, the tackle, Troy Reader, linebacker, and Jordan Whittington, the rookie wide receiver, all out. So
I like the Vikings in this matchup tomorrow. I just think that they just have enough great things going on offense. The chemistry's still there. I know they came off of a loss, so I think they're actually going to be fired up to kind of reprove that they are the team that, you know, is a lot better as a top tier team in the league. I think that I think I saw a stat last week where Jared Goff got rushed blitz 51% of the time last week against Mike Flores, but he was like I believe 8 for 12 or something for like 124 yards and 2 touchdowns. I don't know if Stafford is going to have the same success against the blitz scheme that Goff was able to have due to the offensive line woes. And so that's where I see this game kind of leaning more towards the favor of the Vikings. Of course, the guy in the front, I need him, but it's not just because I need him. I do see him going off again in this matchup. Jefferson, of course, they love feeding him. The targets are there to be successful. So I see the matchup kind of going that way, but I do agree from a captain standpoint, daily fantasy. I like Cooper Kupp as well. Tomorrow, just this matchup feels ripe, real ripe, for that 12 for 144 and maybe a touch.
I agree.
He's going to get shit tons of targets. I mean, Matthew Stafford going to feed him.
Was Hawkinson on your injury report? Is he coming back?
He is.
He's out.
He was limited. He was limited. No, he's questionable. He's limited.
Okay.
Unless they've.
If he comes back, the matchup is for Hawkinson here. It ain't for Jefferson. What I'm seeing is that the Rams are ranked 31st against the position against the tight end. They're not too bad against.
He is actually out. He actually declared out.
So then maybe it's a Josh Oliver or Johnny Munt type game. Maybe on a super punt, a Robert Tonyan. We've seen him get into the end zone before. He hasn't done shit this season, though, so I probably won't go there. But it looks like your leading tight end for Minnesota is Munt with 18% target share last week, 10% on the season.
I mean, this is literally the battle of the same offense. So, same offense. Johnny Munt was a Ram. Remember that.
You know, Minnesota is ranked the worst in the league right now against the wide receiver, which sets up good for Kupp and Atwell. So I think, isn't Whittington out?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Whittington's out. So, you know, those extra passes are going to go somewhere. It's probably Kupp, probably a little bit more to Tutu. But, I mean, Jefferson's just a star. So obviously he's going to do good regardless. But for me, playing DFS, Jefferson's the highest owned player in the captain spot. He's probably second highest owned in the flex. So for me, it's probably Cooper Kupp all day, given ownership wise, because I don't just look at the players. But maybe in the millie, I probably run Atwell at the captain spot just because, you know, Kupp's coming back. Maybe they double cover him. But Minnesota being that trash against the wide receivers is kind of shocking considering their record and how I've noticed their defense to be. But I think I saw they've allowed like over 600 and something yards and what was it, 7 touchdowns to wide receivers over their last 3 games. So that's literally almost 2 touchdowns a game that they are allowing.
It's because Coop is going to come. Coop is going to come out of the slot, and we just saw what Amon-Ra just.
Yeah, I told you last week they were the weakest against the slot, and Amon-Ra was going to feast on them, and Amon-Ra did. Right, we're DraftKings, so we're looking for receptions. Cooper Kupp gets peppered with them, and he's got the matchup of a lifetime. Whether he gets in the end zone or not, just the receptions alone, as you just saw from the Millie Maker, could get you enough points to be the optimal play. So that's probably where I go. And then, like I said, don't forget about the tight ends on Minnesota because the Rams suck against tight end.
I like Aaron Jones. The Rams are not that great against the run. They give up a lot. Especially they're going to be without it. Probably or be banged up at the defensive tackle spot. They haven't been great against the run at all since Aaron Donald left. So I think Aaron Jones probably has the potential to just fry their ass tomorrow. It's scary but like I say that with bated breath because Aaron Jones is always one of those guys. He has a really great game, but he always is one of those guys that you put a lot on his back and then he crumbles, right? Like he always seems to get injured when you need him not to get injured. So,
well, he has a good matchup. They're 22nd against the position, and he looked good last week.
I think another guy on right there on the screen, actually, number 23 there, Kyron Williams. He's had 19 plus fantasy points in the last 3 games, I think 3 or 4 games. He's consistently putting up points. I can't say necessarily whether to put him in the captain spot, but I think if you're definitely running out of lineup, I think you have to include him. He's also had a couple of games where he's had catches out of the backfield as well, which is of course what you need from a running back to really get those points off. But I think if you're going to run out a lineup tomorrow, it has to include him as well. I like him and Cooper Kupp tomorrow.
Yeah, he's the 2nd highest owned captain right now. So I think people are seeing what you're seeing. But yeah, he's definitely a beast. I had him in my lineup since last weekend. I think he's always someone you can count on to get in the end zone.
Always.
He's probably a much better play on FanDuel because of that touchdown upside. I don't know what his ownership is on FanDuel, but certainly can he's a player to count on. That's for sure.
I could check his check
wearing the MJ number. Let me see anything special for him.
30. Him and Jetta are both. He's actually in overall. Kyron Williams is 39% owned. But in the captain spot, he is actually the fifth in FanDuel. So he's
probably a good play.
Only 13%. Well, it's because we said this before because obviously Minnesota's got a good rushing defense, right?
They do.
That's the thing. So
they're number 9, I think.
So the number 1 and number 2 on FanDuel MVP spot, Aaron Jones at 19%, just over 19%, and Sam Darnold just over 17%. So you got 3, and then Jetta at just over 17%. So that's the thing. They got Cooper Kupp down here at just over 8%, and then you're gonna get crazy. Silly for the Millie type shit, hoping that Jordan Addison gets into the end zone. He's at 1.5% ownership. So,
yeah, FanDuel usually
he's had some games in the past where he's had 2+ scoring touchdowns, and if Jordan Addison has sometimes when teams are kind of quote unquote successful against taking Jefferson away. He seemed to be the next target, especially with Hawkinson being out. That just adds more opportunity. So. He's definitely someone to watch out for. He does have big play potential, at least.
And coming from a dud, I know I just played his ass, and it was a dud. So usually a dud to a stud is what they say. So
he's always a prime time performer, though. He's always a prime time performer. I always see that, at least last year, and then Was it not? Did they not play the Rams last year? I want to say, actually, I will look it up myself. I feel like
even as we saw in the Millie Maker, it seems like you got to have at least a couple out there with the lower ownership.
Looks like the last time they played was 2021, and it was a high-scoring game. Dude, the last times they played each other was a high score, 30-23, and the other time in 2018 was 31-38. So they just have no defense against each other. I kind of see that tomorrow. I was already thinking mentally that I'm just gonna take defense out of my flex altogether, and not play any defense in this game. Might give me more ownership to spots that I need. I see a lot of passing happening against the Vikings because that's where they're easily targeted at, and that could lead to a lot of scoring.
I mean, he's had actually in Jordan Addison's career, he's had a couple, like last season, he had a couple games. He had 34, 21, 32. He's had games where he's had over 20, 21 and over 30 fantasy points. So, I mean, obviously and those were against San Francisco, Green Bay, and Cincinnati. So when Minnesota actually has to score and they turn it up. So these two teams know each other well because they essentially run the same offense. Like it's literally almost cookie cutter, same offense. You'll see some little different ones here because Kevin O'Connell, the coach and the offensive play caller there for the Vikings, was a Sean McVay disciple. So it is what it is. I think that it's that lends itself. But I mean,
yeah, I think another punt you could go to on the Rams is Tyler Johnson. Is he in? He had 30% of the targets last week. I know they didn't have Kupp, but I think when Whittington went out or didn't play, he was the one who got the catches. That's a lot of targets. And he was on the field 90% of the time.
What about Demarcus Robinson?
He only had 13% last week, 13% on the season. And this dude Tyler is 11% on the season and 30% last week. So I think either one of them probably good plays as wide receivers, good punt plays to have in a lineup. But
3,000 and 3,200, both of them. So
I think, let me see ownership. I think Robinson's going to draw more ownership.
He's 25% according to what I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, that's a lot. And I don't think Tyler Johnson's going to pull that.
Less than 5.
Yeah, see, that's the big difference. There's a lot of people don't know that. They don't know who this Tyler Johnson dude is. Just pulled 30% of the receptions last week, and Atwell had 39%. So there's literally just ball going to him and him. So when Kupp gets out there, he's obviously going to take almost all of that. Yeah, but don't forget that. Obviously, if you're hitting somebody 30% of the time, y'all got a little chemistry going. There might be a play or two there for the end zone to get that guy in the end zone at his price point of 4,000 and that ownership. That's going to be in the nuts.
I like. I don't discount like maybe Kobe Parkinson. Also, I mean, his ownership's awful high though. Well, that's right, almost 40%.
Yeah,
they're okay against the tight end. So. Discount
middle of the pack.
But yeah, I could see that Johnny Munt shit. Like he's 2,800. Rams suck against the tight end. He's played for
the ball.
He's played for the Rams before.
He's definitely getting the ball. He's getting the ball a lot more than Josh Oliver. And Tanyan is non-existent now that I see it, man. It's 0% on the season, 0% on the week. Like,
honestly, that was a guy I didn't even know he was on the Vikings, to be totally honest with you.
Me neither until I looked at this. I seen him get in the end zone.
He's on Green Bay. In a practice squad. He probably in a practice squad. The last time I saw him, I thought he was still on the Bears.
So, to be honest. I'm definitely gonna have some Munt in there, that's for sure. With those numbers and that matchup,
It's inside, so I mean, kickers could definitely be in play here. I don't think that it's an inside game, so
dome.
or not technically a dome. It's an open air stadium, which is weird. They have no air conditioner in that stadium, but it has a roof on it.
Smelly and smug the whole time.
It's literally got gaps in the roof, like between the roof and the top, so the air can pass through the top.
I just feel like there's just trapped BO in there, dude. Is what it is. Just sitting, everybody sitting next to you, breathing up your air, and you're smelling them. That doesn't. Nah, I'm good on that.
It's literally, I think the whole stadium itself is actually a 5G tower.
That's weird.
Yeah, or like something I've heard some stories, but like it's its own. It generates its own Wi-Fi, or it's California, dude. They be doing crazy stuff out there, which makes me think like, man, what society are we living in?
Yeah, but simulation, man. It's gonna be like a FEMA camp. That's what the 5G's for. Power the whole place.
But yeah, so
conspiracy talk on the NFL podcast.
Yeah, dude, you should listen to the Pat McAfee show. They go down some deep rabbit holes, kind of off to the side sometimes, and I'm just like, what are y'all talking about? But it's kind of funny to be honest. So it only looks like Scorpio says, guys, I think I sold. I traded CD for Jahmyr Gibbs and DJ Moore, and my friend said I got scammed.
I don't think so.
I don't dislike it, but I don't like it. Can I say that?
Yeah, I know last time you said CD was like top 5 or top 3, either fantasy points on the season or yards on the season, something like that. But Dallas ain't doing shit.
CD is number 6 in fantasy points to all wide receivers.
DJ Moore is probably like 40.
Jahmyr Gibbs is 7th, so he has 115.2 through the season.
Very nice.
And CD has 92.4. And then DJ Moore has 81.2, and it just seems it's quiet. Like it's literally a quiet. So I think you came up. Obviously, you came up because you got more 2 for 1, right? I don't think you got scammed. You got to make plays for.
I think when you talk to certain people, I'm not sure who your friend is, but sometimes they're just kind of, you hear the name CeeDee Lamb. And so if you're not trading them for, I don't know, Tyreek Hill, then it just seems like a bad trade. But from a fantasy perspective and the points and the production, to me, it does. You get a 2 for 1. You're getting good production out of your running back spot, potentially a flex spot. Same for the receiver spot, potentially flex spot. So I actually think overall this might end up helping your team. You might have needed those additional points. CD would need to be putting up, 25 plus points, I think, to kind of match what potentially Gibbs and DJ Moore can give you every single week. And it seems how the chemistry is not 100% there yet with Dak. I think you kind of took your loss a little bit because that would have been a top pick. But I think you walked away with something you could finish your season strong with.
I mean, Gibbs was projected top. He was a first round talent coming out of the draft, fantasy draft, that is. I think that, and if we're gonna, if all things are said, right? CeeDee Lamb right now, like I said, sitting at 16th to make a come up in wide receiver land right now. A come up right now, according to where the points are going in targets, is fucking Allen Lazard. Okay. Like literally Allen Lazard is number 13, according to how many points he scored this year. It's 101.2, and nobody was drafting that dude in the first round. Okay. Another guy like so number 1 wide receivers, Jamar Chase. Okay. He's a first rounder, right? Number 2, Chris Godwin. Nobody was drafting him in the first round. He's done for the season. Okay. Drake London, borderline first round, more likely a second or third rounder. He's 3rd. Jetta is 4, first rounder. Garrett Wilson, absolutely nobody was drafting him in the first round. Stephon Diggs, nobody was drafting him in the first round. Jaden Reed, Brian Thomas Jr., and then the next first rounder you get to is Amon-Ra at 9, and then Nico at 10. So Nico's been out for 2 weeks. So I'm just saying, like, to come up right now, you can't even judge that because of injuries and the way that the game is playing so much right now. So Scorpio, and all things sincere, I think you are going to do better because you're not having to depend on CD to carry you because you got DJ Moore, a chess piece to move in. Caleb Williams, for everything I don't like about the guy, is starting to get the ball where he needs it to be. And Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be in on almost every play, even if Monty's on the field. So I don't even sweat it. Tell your friend, I got this. Like, Ballers and Briefs got my back. So I didn't get scammed. I just scammed this guy. So don't even worry about it. You didn't get scammed. I don't think so.
Follow the numbers. Follow the numbers.
That's where it's at, dude. The numbers are where it's at. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's really, you guys got, anybody else got any questions? Y'all can just pop them in the chat and we'll work through them real quick. I know NBA season's kicked off. People are hype about that. That's where a lot of the family's probably at right now. Anything you're looking forward to this weekend? Actually, Brad, congratulations. Your Jags got a win.
We did manage to get a win over a really bad New England Patriots team, but a W is a W in the NFL. So it's just, you got to take them out. You can get them. Offense look a little bit better, but
the London Jaguars.
I have to see it against I would like to see it more so against the Packers coming this week. We'll see if they hit the over or under for this week. They might, just because of the fact that I think Jordan Love has scored 3 touchdowns in the last 3 games.
I was looking. I'm actually kind of excited, and I'll tell you why I'm excited. Are y'all? Oh, that's not till y'all play the Vikings. I was like, are y'all wearing the white helmets against Green Bay this week? Do you know?
I don't. They haven't said anything as of yet. Usually they would have said something like that if it was a uniform change. They might be. I know they're rolling them out at some point this year. I just don't know.
I see in week 10. I see in week 10 y'all wearing the white helmets. Those look pretty sweet. But
yeah,
that's pretty cool. And then I know that Minnesota's running their white ones out in a couple weeks, so that'll be cool too. I mean, I'm a uniform guy. I like to see what cool uniforms pop off.
I love the
throwbacks. So it's always pretty.
The throwbacks, like when the Broncos wear their I call them the Elway throwbacks, but the ones that church that John Elway used to wear, that orange with the Bronco.
The Steve Atwater ones where the Broncos jumping out the D, those are cool. Yeah.
Those, I love those. I love the Atlanta Falcons where they wear the red helmets with the black. It's smooth. I love that as well.
Yeah. So guys, if y'all got any more questions, just put them in. We'll hang out for a couple more minutes, and then if not, we will catch y'all on Saturday. You can bring out the questions then for sure. Next Saturday's show, not this coming Saturday, but the next Saturday, probably a little bit shorter than normal. I will be out of the country, so we'll probably have to run it a little bit shorter than normal. So if you guys got questions, we will hit them kind of maybe as we go, or may not have as many games on the docket. I'm not really sure at the moment, but I do know in a couple weeks, or not this coming Saturday, but the next, it will be a little bit shorter. So But yeah. All right, guys. Well, we appreciate y'all hanging out with us. You got questions, just shoot them to us on all the socials, and we'll get to them. If not, bring them to us on Saturday, and let's get that money tomorrow. And hope the week gets off started good. So we will catch y'all later on. Peace out.